Good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone who's joined us so far. We're going to wait a few more minutes to give folks more time to log in. I just wanted to mention that today's webinar is part of our ongoing Showhet Learning Series, educational series, where every month we focus on a different topic from our broad range of specialties. Our goal is to educate, inform, and answer questions that you may have during this live interactive session with members of our medical and audiology team. If you'd like to watch any of our previous sessions, you can download them from our website by going to www.eardoctor.org/events, and the address is shown on the bottom of this slide. You can also visit our YouTube page directly by searching Showhet Ear Associates Medical Group. And just a few housekeeping items before we begin. During this session, your audio and video will be turned off so that everyone can easily hear the speakers. We'd like to encourage you to use the Q&A button or the chat function to submit any of your questions, and you can submit questions at any point during this presentation. All questions will be seen, and the speakers will be happy to answer the questions at the end of the presentation. We've also enabled live caption setting or live captioning for this presentation. So if your Zoom account has this feature turned on and you're not seeing a live transcript on your screen, simply click on the live transcript button on your toolbar along the bottom, and then select Enable Auto Transcription, and you should see the transcription appear on the bottom of your screen. I think that covers all the housekeeping items, so let's go ahead and get started with today's presentation. Today we have our audiology doctoral externs who will be guiding us through the world of hearing aid accessories and assistive listening devices. Lisa Gray and Haley O'Connor are doctoral candidates who will be completing doctorate degrees in audiology. Lisa is from California State University, Los Angeles, and Haley is from University of Arizona. Both Lisa and Haley are currently fourth-year externs at Showhet Ear Associates, spending each day helping patients address their hearing needs. Lisa and Haley use the latest research and best practice standards to consistently provide high-quality care. And they both greatly enjoy helping patients find solutions to manage their hearing loss and have passions for educating patients on communication strategies and auditory training. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our speakers.
Hi, and we're going to talk to you today about enhancing your listening experience with commonly utilized hearing aid accessories and assistive listening devices. There are a lot of hearing aid accessories and assistive listening devices out there. So we're just going to cover some broad categories today to give you an overview of what devices are available. I feel that there are a lot of people with hearing loss that can benefit greatly from these devices, and oftentimes they're underutilized. I think they could be, a lot of patients are unaware that these devices exist. So we're going to talk to you about some of these options today. Here are the topics that we're going to cover. The first topic is remote microphones and telecoils. So we'll talk to you about what those are and how they're going to give you the best possible signal you can get in a noisy place. We also are going to talk to you about some television solutions, so how you can hear the television better. Also on the phone is one of those places that's very difficult for individuals with hearing loss to hear clearly. So we're going to talk about some ways that you can speak and communicate better on the phone. And also alerting devices. Alerting devices are a category of devices that basically help keep you informed and keep you safe. Essentially things like fire alarms, alarm clocks, doorbell signalers. And so we'll discuss that more when we get to that section. So the first question that we're going to talk to you about is what these devices are. Assistive listening devices and hearing aid accessories are essentially a category of devices that allow you to typically connect a pair of hearing aids or cochlear implant or headphones directly to something that provides a signal such as a television, a microphone, a phone, or even a live performance. So it connects the hearing aids on the listener or the cochlear implant or whatever headphones you're using to a source of sound and gives you a clearer signal than you could get with just the hearing aids or just the cochlear implant alone. It also includes alerting devices, which we will discuss. So why, you're probably thinking, I have hearing aids or I have a cochlear implant and I don't know why I would need or would ever benefit from using another device. So hearing aids and cochlear implants, they are excellent and very helpful in most situations if you have a hearing loss. However, there are certain limitations. So let's discuss what hearing aids can do. So what they can do is hearing aids and cochlear implants can help the person who's wearing them, the wearer, hear significantly better given the anatomy and the physiology they have, meaning that you're not going to necessarily put on a pair of hearing aids and hear the way that you heard when you were 20 years old, or they're not going to give you perfect hearing. And I think most people know that. However, they are going to help you hear better. So they're not going to cure hearing loss. They're going to improve what you're able to hear without them. So they're going to amplify the signal based on your hearing loss, or, in the case of a cochlear implant, provide an electrical stimulation directly to your nerve based on, what you need to hear those sounds. And they're going to try their best to reduce noise. However, there are certain limitations in terms of the ability for a hearing aid to reduce noise, which we'll talk about. So the goal with hearing aids or with any device that's going to help you hear better is to improve the signal to noise ratio. And the signal to noise ratio is basically the level of the signal that whatever you're trying to listen to, if it's the person talking or the sound on the television, relative to the noise. So they're trying to make the signal louder and the noise softer. That's the goal. And they can do that a little bit. They can help with that a little bit. And that technology has gotten better and better over the years, the ability for hearing aids to reduce noise, but it's still limited. So essentially, the signal to noise ratio, the signal is what we're listening to, and the noise is what we don't want to hear. So again, our goal is to get the clearest signal. We want to turn the signal that's buried in the noise to a signal that we can hear more clearly. We want to get a higher signal to noise ratio in any situation where you're going to have some background noise. And especially when you have a hearing loss, that's important. Patients that have a hearing loss need a better signal to noise ratio, even than people with normal hearing, to get the same speech recognition. So in order to understand speech as clearly as someone with normal hearing, you need that signal to be the clearest it can possibly be, especially when you have a hearing loss. That background noise is going to present a challenge to you. And so here are some of the barriers to obtaining the signal that we want, obtaining the understanding of speech that we want. Distance is a big one. Distance, not only are things softer when they're at a distance, but some of the technology that is going to help reduce the noise is actually less effective when the signal is further away. So the technology that is really helping to improve the signal to noise ratio is basically going to be less effective when the speaker or whatever you're listening to is at a distance. So that is one of the main barriers. Also noise, and noise can be constant or it can be dynamic. So you can have a constant noise such as the air conditioning going on in the background, or you can have a fan happening in the background. That's a constant noise. That's actually pretty easy for hearing aids or a cochlear implant noise reduction strategies to identify and sort of minimize. But noise can be dynamic. So how does your hearing aid or the cochlear implant know that, for example, you want to listen to the person who's speaking across from you rather than the person who's speaking next to you. That's difficult for the devices, the technology to identify. And even though hearing aid manufacturers have been working diligently to, figure out ways to identify what the noise is and what you're trying to listen to, it still is going to struggle in a situation like that, where you're at a noisy restaurant and there's, dishes clanging, there's people talking at different spots around you. And, the hearing aid's trying to identify what the signal of interest is, and it's not always easy to do that. And then the final barrier to obtaining the clearest possible signal is reverberation. So reverberation is basically the echo of sound that occurs from hard surfaces in the environment. So when you're speaking, or any sound that's occurring in the environment is going to basically bounce off of the hard surfaces and create like sort of a subtle echo that can essentially create distortion or a lack of clarity in the sound that's reaching your ears. So the more reverberation, the more of that distortion, the harder it is to hear clearly. So all of these things are going to impede your ability to hear well. And this is especially going to impact somebody with a hearing loss. So that brings me to, why do we want to use assistive listening devices and hearing aid accessories? So these devices really are going to help the listener overcome the barriers to getting the clearest possible signal. That's one of the main benefits of these devices, is things like noise, reverberation, and distance are going to have less of an impact, and thereby they're going to enhance your overall listening experience and communication in specific situations. So the first and one of the most, I think, beneficial hearing assistive device or hearing aid accessory is a remote microphone. So we're going to talk to you in this section about remote microphones, and then also a telecoil, which can be used similarly to a remote microphone. These are examples of different manufacturers' remote microphones. We'll show you more about that. So remote microphones, essentially what they do is they stream your conversational partner's voice, whoever you're speaking to, directly to your hearing aids or your cochlear implants. In some situations, you can use headphones, but you're probably going to get the best possible signal by connecting a microphone device directly to hearing aids or a cochlear implant. And these are pretty discreet these days. They're fairly small. You can keep them in, a small bag or your pocket and hand them to the person who you're trying to speak with. So it's especially nice in situations like, for example, in the car, where someone may be sitting next to you or behind you that you're trying to talk to. And it's difficult oftentimes, if you have a hearing loss, to hear that person very clearly. So it's really excellent for those situations when the acoustics are challenging, when the speaker is far away, or when there's an excessive amount of noise. And it's going to really give you the best possible signal that you can get in background noise compared to a hearing aid or cochlear implant alone. Now, these are wireless microphones, so they work to essentially transmit through a variety of different wireless transmission types. So some of these transmission types, the older types, are FM or frequency modulation, and also infrared. Those were more common, several years ago. These days, it's typically a Bluetooth device. So it typically will use a Bluetooth signal to wirelessly transmit sound information from a microphone, from a small microphone that can be clipped on, or sometimes in some cases set on a table, and it'll transmit that directly to hearing aids, to a cochlear implant, or in some cases headphones. So why would you use a remote microphone? And again, this is going to help you overcome those barriers to hearing the signal clearly, such as background noise, reverberation, and then it's going to shorten the distance between the source of interest and the individual with hearing loss. Meaning instead of someone, if you're talking to someone 10 feet away, you're going to get a much less clear signal than if you're talking to someone who's 1 foot away. And essentially that microphone is going to be placed at typically like a distance of maybe 6 inches away. So now you're getting a signal to your ears that is similar to if they were speaking to you from 6 inches away rather than from 10 feet away or 20 feet away. So it's really going to overcome the barrier of distance very well. They're also just in general designed to help you improve your speech understanding in those complex listening environments. So, when you're at, let's say, a dinner party and there's multiple talkers and there's dishes clanging and there's different things going on, it's just going to help filter all of that out and really focus in on what you want to listen to, giving you a much clearer signal. And hearing aids can help you get a clearer signal in, only so much, basically. They are good. They're getting better and better at filtering out that noise. But again, they are limited in the amount of improvement they could give you in terms of the signal to noise ratio. So this is a study that basically looked at how people did in repeating back sentences in noise or understanding sentences in noise. And it was mimicking a situation where there was a restaurant noise placed in the background. So it's mimicking a group situation in a restaurant. And what this study looked at was at different noise levels with the signal or the speaker at a constant level, how much did the remote microphone help the wearer basically improve their speech understanding in noise. And so you can see that when the noise level was lower, there was a slight improvement. So absolutely an improvement. This first bar is just representative of the hearing aid or the cochlear implant alone. And these final 2 bars are representative of 2 different remote microphones. So you can see that the remote microphones did help somewhat when the noise level was lower. Now, as the noise level increased, that benefit actually increased. So you can see that the situations with the remote microphones, they got a much higher percentage of the words correct when the noise level got higher. And then here, especially, you can see this is, they got less than 40% correct with the hearing aids or cochlear implant alone. And then with the best performing remote microphone, almost 100%, so maybe 95% correct. That's a pretty significant improvement in speech understanding and background noise. Even at this very high level of noise, you can see that the individuals in the study got less than, they got probably about 10% of the words correct in this high noise level without a remote microphone, but with the best performing remote microphone got over 60% of the words correct. So that's a pretty significant improvement in this setting with background noise. Now, you may think about remote microphones and clipping them on to individual speakers as being sort of challenging or cumbersome. And, you could potentially get multiple remote microphones and clip them on multiple speakers if you're in a group setting, but that's a costly thing to do. And most people don't necessarily want to do that. So when you're in a group setting where there's multiple people talking that you want to be able to listen to, there is something called a table microphone. Well, these microphones are designed to, when you set them on a table, pick up different speakers and provide a clearer signal. And they can pick up speakers from different directions, or if you, in some cases, some of these microphones, if you pick them up, they will turn into a microphone designed for one speaker. So they can be used in multiple ways. But these are ideal when you're in these group settings, such as when you're in a meeting at the office, or if you're out to lunch with a group of friends, rather than, you know, having individual speakers pass around a microphone or having to use multiple clip-on microphones. You can set this microphone down on a table and obtain a similar benefit as having individual clip-on microphones. So this is something that is that Apple does. This is a nice feature that Apple created. It's called, let's see, it's called Live Listen. And it can be done with either a pair of AirPods, or it can also be done with hearing aids that have Bluetooth technology in them. So if you have a hearing aid with Bluetooth, or you do have a pair of AirPods, this is a feature that you can enable on your phone that'll essentially allow you to turn your cell phone into a remote microphone. So this gives you the step-by-step. Essentially, you go into your settings and you would have to enable this feature. And what happens is you have this sort of ear icon that will appear. And when you have your AirPods on, or if you have your hearing aids in, you would tap that and turn on Live Listen. And this is a nice feature. For example, if you are going to go out to a lecture or listen to a presentation, and you just are concerned that you're not going to hear the presentation as well as you would like, you can turn your Live Listen feature on, put in your AirPods, and then you can take your phone and put it near the speaker, whoever you're trying to listen to, and that will give you a very clear signal of the presentation of whoever's speaking. Now, using AirPods, I would say, you know, if you just have a little bit of difficulty in noise, or maybe a mild hearing loss, this would probably be a great feature for you. I think that using a remote microphone and that connects to hearing aids is going to give you a much clearer signal. So that's definitely your best option if you have a more significant hearing loss. But if you just need that little extra boost in a situation where you want to listen to someone who is at a distance, or especially in a situation where, you know, you're at a presentation, people are going to be talking around you, you want to get the clearest possible signal. This way, it's just a nice extra feature. And I know that, you know, there's a few steps to enabling this. So we're going to post these slides afterwards, and you can go through and follow through step by step. You can also ask your audiologist to help you enable this feature. If you have hearing aids and you want to try it with your hearing aids, you know, definitely ask your audiologist about how to do that, and if your hearing aids are capable of using your phone as a remote microphone. So a pocket talker is not a wireless device. It's actually a wired device, but I thought I would include a pocket talker in this section because it is a very useful device for specific situations. It's basically an amplifier. It's not going to be customized to your hearing loss like a pair of hearing aids. It's a amplifier that has a pair of headphones attached. And it's really nice for those individuals in situations where either maybe they're not wearing their hearing aids at that moment, or they don't have hearing aids and they just want to be able to understand a caregiver or a family member or a healthcare provider when you're in that one-on-one situation. It's not really ideal for a group setting, but if you just need to communicate with your family member and they, you know, either don't have hearing aids or they're limited in that regard, it's just a quick and easy and inexpensive option. So essentially, there's a little handheld component that has a microphone on it. The person who's speaking will speak into the microphone, and the listener with hearing loss will put on the headphones, and they'll be able to hear the speaker more clearly, and the speaker's voice can be amplified at different levels, so there's a volume setting to control that. And here we have a telecoil. So a telecoil, they're less commonly used these days, but it's a really nice option for the locations that have a telecoil loop. So some hearing aids, not all hearing aids, but some of them have a telecoil inside of them. And it's a specific type of wireless transmission. So instead of using Bluetooth or FM, this uses electromagnetic wireless transmission. So it wirelessly transmits a signal electromagnetically to the hearing aids that have a telecoil inside of them. And this allows you to obtain a clearer signal similar to remote microphones. And in the situations where there's a telecoil loop, so for example, there are places such as churches or town halls, other public venues, sometimes playhouses, things like that, will have what's called a telecoil loop. And so you can actually look for these looped venues. And again, we'll provide you a copy of this slide set so you can click on that link. And that link will provide you a list of places that have looped venues. And what that means when I say looped venue is they have that telecoil loop built in, allowing the person that has a hearing aid with a telecoil to be able to connect their hearing aid directly to directly to the speaker, whatever is transmitting the sound. So typically, you know, if there's like different microphones that are hooked up to the telecoil loop, you'll be able to hear the speaker or the presentation or the play or whatever it is a lot more clearly by linking up your hearing aid to that telecoil loop. And so if you're interested, as I said, not all hearing aids have this feature. So if you're interested in this, in trying out this feature, you can ask your audiologist if your hearing aids have a telecoil. And also look for this symbol here. This symbol is sort of a widespread symbol that's used to indicate that that particular venue contains a telecoil loop. So we're also going to talk to you now about television solutions, so just ways that you can hear the television more clearly and prevent that common issue that I hear about from patients, which is having their family members tell them that the TV is too loud and is bothersome. Many people with hearing loss struggle to hear the television clearly, and these are some options to hear better when you're watching television. So the first option is what's called a television streamer. So these streamers are designed to connect directly to your hearing aids or your cochlear implant and take that television signal from the TV and stream them directly to your hearing aids or cochlear implants. So essentially, you don't have to listen to the sound via the typical transmission through the air. You're going directly to your hearing aids, which means that you can adjust the volume specifically just for you. Your family does not have to listen at the same volume that you want to listen. You can listen through your hearing aids that are customized for your hearing loss, which is going to give you the best possible television signal. And then others around you, family members, can also watch TV with you, but they can watch at a volume that they want. So you both get what you want. You're both watching at a volume that you want. These boxes are just essentially an intermediary between your hearing aids and the television. So they connect to your television. Usually there's something that you plug into your television, and then wirelessly they can transmit the signal to your hearing aids. Now, if you don't have hearing aids or you don't necessarily have hearing aids that will connect to a TV streamer, let's say you have hearing aids that are smaller and don't have that Bluetooth component, you can use wireless headphones. And so here are a couple of examples. This is a set of what's called TV ears. So wireless headphones, again, there's a base that plugs into the television and it'll send the sound signal directly into your ears. A nice thing is that even though it's not customized for your hearing loss, you can control the volume, and that way you're family doesn't have to listen at the volume that you want to listen. Also, here's a Bluetooth set of headphones that will wirelessly transmit the sound signal directly to your hearing aids, or directly to your ears rather, not requiring a hearing aid. In fact, I used to have a Bluetooth television set of headphones for listening to the TV at night when I didn't want to disturb my family. So it's a really nice option for some people who want that solution. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Haley. Haley's going to chat with you about some phone solutions and some helpful apps.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is using your smartphone. So most smartphones can stream direct phone calls to hearing aids or cochlear implants. They just need to be connected by Bluetooth. So this way you are able to hear your conversation partner's voice to both ears. Two ears are sometimes better than one. Most smartphones can also stream music, videos, audiobooks, or anything with sound directly to the hearing aids from your smartphone. Your audiologist or a manufacturer line can usually help you set this up. So just give us a call or let us know if you haven't had this set up before. You can also adjust your hearing aids using iPhone shortcuts or manufacturer apps. So some people know the 3-click shortcut to turn the volume up or down or change programs. The next assistive listening device is phone call captioning. So this means real-time captioning for phone calls on mobile phones and or landlines. These phones have the ability to save the transcript of the phone conversation so you can review it later. Caption service is typically offered for free or a low cost for individuals who have hearing loss. So caption call is that big phone in the middle right there, a landline phone. And with this, just ask your audiologist. We'll help you get scheduled for that, and they'll even send it to your house and help you set it up. They also have this available for an iOS or Android smartphone. The next one is InnoCaption. It's an app for iOS to help you also get transcript of the call. And the last one is Clear Captions, which is a mobile app for iOS, and the Android version is coming soon. Another way to utilize captions are with other smartphone apps. So these provide real-time captioning during conversation. If you're having trouble one-on-one, it's easy to talk into the phone and it will type out the conversation for you to hear. So to name a few, there's Google Live Transcribe. It's free, but for Android only. NAL Scribe is free for iOS and Android. And Hearing Helper is for iOS and has a one-time $2.99 fee. Another way to increase the signal to noise ratio that Lisa had mentioned is with noise filtering apps. And these won't be as good as remote microphones, but it's something to try to increase the signal that you want to hear. So some of these apps are called Chattable or Hear That, and both apps claim to reduce background noise and reduce listening effort. You can use these with AirPods, headphones, or hearing aids that have Bluetooth. All right, there are also some smartphone apps for alerts. So these can be things such as doorbells, sirens, and fire alarms that can link to your phone and play out loud to hearing aids or Bluetooth headphones to let you know that something is going on. All right, and this brings us to our final category, which is alerting devices that are available. And these use light or vibration to alert someone of an event that's happening. So the first thing that is a really cool invention that not many patients know about are alarm clocks. So some of these alarm clocks can vibrate, shake the bed, or do a really bright light in order to wake you up. It's hard with hearing loss because you can't really sleep with your hearing aids all the time. So you need some way to hear your alarm to wake up in the morning. And some of these alarm clocks available can really help with that. And there will be links at the end of the presentation that have some of these. And these are mostly purchased through Amazon or in-person stores. Another really helpful alert system are doorbell signalers, and they can be purchased to notify you with lights or loud chimes and have video alerts sent to your phone. And they could also be sent with Alexa or Google Home. So just something to be aware that exists. Another important alert is for smoke, fire, and carbon monoxide. So these are available for purchase and send off like a strobe light or vibrations in order to alert someone of these warnings. Some of them are detectable and used for Google Nest, and it can send alerts to your smartphone as well. Most moms have maybe searched this up, but if it's someone that you know has a baby, or you're a baby babysitting for someone, it's so important to hear that baby cry. And so these baby cry signalers can really help, and they either light up or vibrate when a baby is crying to inform you to check on them. And then lastly is an iWatch. I'm not sure if any of you have an Apple Watch, but these use taptic touch or vibrations to alert you of phone calls. They can inform you of map directions. So when you need to turn left, it'll just vibrate on your wrist and let you know. And you could also set an alarm. So you could use this when you're sleeping. It'll shake your wrist to wake you up as well. So here are the links that we were talking about, and you'll have access to this document after the presentation if you want to check out any of these things that we talked about. Some of them, like the remote microphones and the TV streamers, are through us or the hearing aid manufacturers, the caption call phone as well. So give us a call if you're curious or want to know. These are mainly the ones that you'll purchase online. Otherwise, let us know if you need some more information. And then I know that the Q&A chat box is open. I see a couple questions in there. So let us know if you have other questions or something that we need to address.
So I see a couple of questions posted. One of them, I think the first question is it possible to equip multiple persons with microphones that can be streamed to one person's hearing aid? Well, the answer is yes, there is that option depending on which hearing aid you have and which remote microphone. So that's not true of all hearing aids. It's very specific to the microphone and the hearing aids themselves. There are certain options. So for example, Phonak has what's called the Roger Pen. The Roger Pen can allow multiple microphones to stream to one hearing aid. Again, that is kind of a setup where it might be costly to do that. And so in a situation where there's a group of talkers, the table microphone might be a more economical and just generally an easier setup. But yes, it is possible depending on the hearing aids and the remote microphone. So definitely talk to your audiologist about whether or not your particular set of hearing aids has that option.
And I see another question. Does the cell phone streaming only work with iPhones? So most hearing aids with Bluetooth are compatible with iPhone, but some hearing aids like Phonak and some Widex hearing aids can definitely connect with Androids and like Motorola phones as well. If you're curious if your hearing aids are compatible with your smartphone, let us know and we can kind of look through it. Most websites, manufacturers have the phones listed that they're compatible with, so we can figure out if you're able to stream.
So I saw a question basically asking what help is available for movie theaters. So for movie theaters, I think that some of them will have the option of essentially like an assistive listening device that's an amplifier where you can listen to the sound through either a set of headphones, or some movie theaters may even have a telecoil option to stream the theater sound directly to your hearing aids. However, I think that most movie theaters actually are fairly loud, so most patients feel like they're not struggling that much, but there are movies where, you know, there's some pretty soft dialogue that can be challenging to hear. I would check with the theaters specifically to ask what accommodations they have for people with hearing loss. I believe that's going to change from theater to theater. And you may, you know, in some situations be able to use, for example, a remote microphone or the live listen feature on your phone to place a transmitter closer to the speakers if that's something that's necessary or offered. But I would check with the theater before you do that and see what they offer.
And to add to that, I think some movie theaters even offer a little captioning device that will caption the movie for you. So that is something, yeah, it depends on the theater, but definitely when you go, ask someone and they should be able to help. And then I see another question asking about streaming TV to hearing aids without buying a device. So unfortunately, we are unable to do this. You have to buy that extra device in order to hook it up to the TV. One thing you could try that is free that may not be the best for the signal is what Lisa had talked about with the smartphone. You could use that as the remote microphone, try and put it near a TV speaker and see if that helps. But you'll really notice a difference with that TV streamer.
There is one exception. So one hearing aid manufacturer can potentially connect directly to a newer Bluetooth television. So it has to be a newer Phonak hearing aid. And the reason for that is that Phonak uses what's called standard Bluetooth, whereas all the other hearing aid manufacturers use a lower power Bluetooth. So what that means is that the Bluetooth in most hearing aids is not going to be compatible with the standard Bluetooth that's available in most televisions and computers. But if you do have a pair of Phonak hearing aids and they're newer, and you also have a newer Bluetooth enabled television, there is the potential for you to be able to connect directly to that television. Again, it's going to be individual televisions. So, you know, you definitely check with your audiologist or check with the hearing aid manufacturer to be able to find out what that compatibility is. Unfortunately, most hearing aids require that box because they do not have that standard Bluetooth. So keep that in mind. Any other questions for us?
All right, if there are no other questions, we just want to thank all of you so much for the questions you submitted, for showing up today and listening to our presentation. And we'd like to encourage anyone who may have a detailed or more personal question to reach out and call one of our office locations to follow up and make an appointment for a consultation, or just simply call us and reach out, and hopefully we can answer your question. But that's all we have for you today. We just want to say a big thank you to those of you who joined us. And if you'd like to listen again, check out some of the links that our speakers posted, or share this video with someone you know. Keep an eye on your email inbox. We will be emailing out a recording, and we'll also be posting it on our YouTube channel. Again, that's Shohet Ear Associates Medical. And we will post the slides, the recording, and that will include the question and answer session. And yeah, we look forward to connecting with you next month. Until then, follow us on social media. We'll announce next month's topic in the next few weeks. Thank you, everyone.